certainly there are some good things in here, right? I mean, I think it's a good thing scrapping the renewable energy target, moving to a clean energy target, because the renewable energy target inevitably favours solar and it favours wind, and the clean energy target, at least as it's been, the terms in which it's been couched in the Finkel report, looks as though it will allow for gas, for instance. And I think that the importance of gas to provide, lower emissions energy over the medium term is going to be very important. So, that's one thing. But, we're in this position that, we've got this line out there at the moment, investment's drying up. Well, the end of coal is here. Well, 75% of Australia's energy production still comes from burning coal. So it's the end is nowhere near. And nor should it be. I mean, we have to have coal. We have to rely on coal. It's abundant, it's cheap, it's reliable, it can produce energy 24 hours a day. If you have a particularly strong wind, wind falls off the grid. At night, you're not able to generate solar. So, the idea that coal's time is at an end, I think, is just frankly crazy. But there are also some really weird things in this report. As you've said, this idea that a generator can be forced to continue production for 3 years, that it has to give 3 years' notice before it closes. I'm not sure how that could possibly be enforced. I mean, unless you're sort of proposing that shareholders are going to have to continue to fund an operation that's no longer profitable, I just can't see how that would work in effect. The reason why this has come about is, of course, because Hazelwood announced closure at the end of last year and said it's going to close this year. So, we're in this position because of Hazelwood, essentially. But the reason why Hazelwood closed is because coal royalties in Victoria were tripled, because we're under this regime where investment in coal-fired electricity generation is being pushed out in favour of subsidies and in favour of policies that put renewables front and centre of energy production in Australia. So that's the reason why we're in this position. And renewables, to me, I mean, it seems pretty obvious that renewables have caused these problems. The reason why the Finkel review was started in the first place was because of the blackouts in South Australia. Those blackouts have been caused in large part by wind energy production, which is unreliable in South Australia.
And an enormous storm that knocked out 10 transmission towers. Let's not forget that. We can't sheet home blame entirely to renewables.
Yeah, and didn't allow for electricity generation to come back online. So, I mean, this is the reason.
Well, equally,
why
gas stations go offline in heat waves sometimes, certainly
yeah, sure,
renewables and the renewable energy target put downward pressure on prices.
Yeah, that's why I think the coal is so important. I mean, we've got 100 years of black coal, we've got 1,000 years of brown coal left in the ground. Why we would throw that away, the cheapest, most affordable, most reliable source of electricity generation, I think is frankly bonkers. Well, I mean, what effect? So, OK, the Paris Accord, there's all this talk about the Paris Accord. If every single country met its targets under the Paris Accord, the global temperature would reduce by, what, 0.05 of a degree? I mean, over the next 50 years. That to me, at a cost of, what, $1 to $2 trillion? Frankly, I think this is just crazy.
If you want to